Hey everyone, hope you had an amazing February. This week has just been so busy. I've barely had an opportunity to pick up the camera and really vlog my day today. But, speaking to, I guess, some friends, mentors, people within the trading and YouTube space, one piece of advice that they gave me was to, keep it real and keep it authentic when coming into YouTube. So I really wanted to kind of talk through how I'm feeling um, coming to the end of February, start of March, especially over the last week, because February has been very hard. I finished on a high when it comes to trading, up 4%, but I went through a sequence of emotions and yo-yoed from 0 to 3% 3 times, and really struggled with that imposter syndrome and believing that I could do it and believing that I could break through that 3% and get to that 4%, 5%, 10%, etc. And I'm still working through that now. And I guess the reason why I wanted to put out something today is because every time I do log on to YouTube, there's 101 traders that make it look so easy. And passing these challenges, keeping the account and getting payouts, it's really hard. And I think it's a lot harder than people think. And I don't want people to only see that type of content. It's one of the reasons I came back into, the social media, YouTube space. Don't feel down on yourself if you're struggling to become consistent or pass these challenges. And don't gamble because others make it look easy and double down on your risk. Take your time, learn month in, month out. And if you're willing to, give yourself a longer runway and be patient and put in the work, you will get there, and you can get there. So I guess I just wanted to talk through that a little bit, and I'll take you through the trade. I'll take you through a couple of trades this week on pound yen. There was another trade I took as well, but we'll leave that one perhaps for another day. On USD CHF chef, whatever you want to whatever you want to call it. I don't think I've absolutely murdered that pronunciation. Let me know in the comments what it's actually meant to be. But yeah, I'll take you through pound yen and the trade, which was a loss first, and how I felt about that and how I overcame that emotion, and kind of proceeded on from there. So pound yen is one where I really don't like to trade against order flow. When pound yen goes, it really just likes to go, and it loves to just chug along. Now, I am exploring using other confluences like JP Basket, and that was based off some advice that I've got from some superiors, if you like, mentors, friends that have been in the trading space a little bit longer than what I have. At the moment, my trading is very simple. And the reason for that is because I want to know what I'm looking at coming into the charts each day, so I can focus on executing the same type of setup each and every time. So I can then use that data to make those refinements and influence my trading. It's not that means I'm 100% mechanical. I don't think anyone is 100% a mechanical trader. There's emotion that comes into it because we're all human after all, and there's always some nuances, right, and some judgment which goes into trading, and you never get it right 100% of the time. That's what drives us crazy sometimes, but also makes it really exciting other times. So I won't draw all over the charts. I'll try and keep it simple today, especially on the higher time frames. We can see, pound yen has continued to break structural highs, print higher highs, higher lows, and we can see we're in a bull run on pound yen. We're now having a kind of deeper pullback here, and it'll be interesting to see if we start to take these lows and get that market shift on a higher time frame. Today's looking very bearish as an example. But if we just drop down to the 1 hour, I'll show you a couple of trades which I took in this week or earlier in the week. So I've removed the demand area here. Now we had a candle close below it, but before we did, I had this kind of area of interest mapped out, and I was looking for a reaction when price pushed into this area here to then target some of these previous session highs or highs. So this was the trade, if we go down to the 5 minute here, where I actually took a loss, and this was straight after being up 3% for the third time in a row. And I'm not going to lie, it did affect me, I think. And this is where I kind of speak about that imposter syndrome, and those doubts really crept in. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't surpass 3%. But when I journaled this trade, it met my criteria and the trade fit the plan. So really, I had no reason or right to be upset. The market is not personally attacking me. And one thing I spoke about in the last video was learning to hold trades longer and not get to that 1%, that 1.5%, see that money and then close those positions, but actually sit in those trades longer, trail behind structure, learn to manage that emotion, and then reap the rewards from that. Because that's what's going to give me a longer runway if I can get to that 4, 5, 6% to inevitably allow me to take those losses. Okay, so then it's a 1% loss, it's a 2% loss, but I'm still up overall because I'm holding 2, 3% on my wins, if that makes sense. So I'm still working on that, but one of my best trades this month was 3%, which I'm incredibly proud of, because I've had that trigger finger for January and start of February, and I feel like I've now taken that next step. And consistency will be the proof in the pudding here if I can stick to that in March. But I'm really excited to March to see if I can continue to execute on that. But taking a look at this trade here, we swept the lows, we mitigated that kind of 1 hour OB, we had that nice V-shaped recovery, that market shift, we printed some inducement, and then I was tagged into the trade here. Now, I did go into immediate down draw, and I think that's why some of those triggers and those emotions came to the surface. But again, speaking to some people in the space, it's about understanding those losses are inevitable. Whether you're in the trade 5 minutes or 5 hours, a loss is still going to be a loss. And eventually, I got wicked out of the trade here, and it went on to hit profit. So, I did journal it. I did sit through some emotions, which is something I'm still working on. I know it's partly to do with my personality type, but I was able to come back the next day. And this is where I do think it kind of showed that maturity, which is starting to come through slowly as a trader. I think it takes time, definitely. But the next day I was able to kind of put that to one side, not be scared to take a position or a trade, which can come from taking a loss or two as well. And once we had then swept this low here, I was looking for a reaction for a liquidity entry. So we can see here we had that push up in price on the 1 hour once we swept those lows, and then beautiful trade targeting previous session highs. This was actually a 15-minute OB or a buy to sell here on the 5 minute. We swept these lows here. We then had that market shift. We then created some nice inducement and some buy side liquidity to target. And price really did react, allowed me to trail behind structure nicely for a 2.28 win. So I think this is a great example of coming back from a loss and, having a really good trade and being able to execute on that and overcoming that fear. So, learn from your losses. Don't let it trigger you, or don't go in and then double your risk or revenge trade. It can be done. You can reach that next level over time. Just be patient and keep pushing yourself to become, the best version of you. There was a really good video Ibby put out recently, which talks around how, as humans, we're probably the worst candidates to trade because we struggle to think in probabilities. We're kind of outcome based thinkers. So getting used to those losses, I think, is going to be part and parcel of my development as a trader. Another thing I read, which I really liked, is that traders are professional losers. It's those that can be process driven and resilient that will stand the test of time and start to pay themselves or start to reap those rewards of trading. So I'm learning to become a professional loser, guys. So stay with me. But yeah, very proud to have now kind of tapped into that next level, 4%. And it's about believing now, as I say, I can get to that 5, 10 and start to lock in this funded capital. Now, I think 80% of you aren't subscribed. So if you do like these videos and want me to keep putting out more, please do hit subscribe. It just lets me know that you guys are enjoying the content. Let me know in the comments, how was your February? What kind of struggles did you have and how were you able to overcome them? I'd love to know. And as always, trade safely, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks, everyone.